Kyle Busch. Two-time Cup Series champion, 63 career wins, a driver who, for nearly 2 decades, made the rest of the NASCAR field genuinely nervous every single weekend. Now in 2026, he's stuck in one of the most stunning winless streaks the sport has ever seen, over 100 races without a trip to victory lane. And when Dale Earnhardt Jr. decided to speak his truth on the situation, he didn't sugarcoat a single word. Here's everything that's happened, why it matters, and what it means for Kyle Busch's future in NASCAR. 10 races into the 2026 season, Richard Childress Racing has recorded just one top 10 finish as an entire organization. One. For a team that fields multiple Cup cars, that number is almost hard to process. Busch himself sits 27th in the point standings, a position so far from where a driver of his caliber belongs that it's become one of the defining storylines of the season. Before a 10th place finish at Talladega Superspeedway, the number 8 team had posted 5 consecutive finishes outside the top 20. His average finish of 22.1 is on pace to be the worst statistical year of his entire career. To understand just how dramatic this collapse has been, consider the starting point. When Busch joined RCR in 2023, he won 3 races in his debut season and finished 14th in the final standings. That felt like the beginning of a new chapter. Instead, his last Cup Series victory came at Gateway in June 2023, and the wins simply stopped coming. He missed the playoffs in 2024 and 2025. Now, deep into 2026, the drought has stretched past 100 races with no sign of ending. The moment that crystallized everything wrong with the number 8 team happened at Bristol Motor Speedway. Busch, an 8-time Cup Series winner at the track, finished 25th and 2 laps down. On the track, he and Riley Herbst traded contact multiple times throughout the race. But the real story wasn't the racing incident. It was what was happening on the team radio. Busch had been struggling with rear grip all afternoon. Crew chief Jim Pohlman called adjustments to tighten the car, but the problems persisted. On lap 277, Pohlman got on the radio with spotter Derek Nealand. What is the freaking problem now? Is the thing sideways or is it plowing? What the expletive does it look like? Nealand responded that the car still wasn't getting into the corner. Pohlman pressed back. Why? I don't get it. We tightened it up, and why can't it get in the expletive corner? Nealand replied plainly, I don't know. I've got a headset on, not a helmet. I don't know. Later during a caution, Nealand tried to calm the situation down. Listen, I know you're frustrated. I don't like running 31st either, but us yelling at each other during the race isn't going to help. Expletive. Like, we've got to keep the glue molded together here. We're all still in it together and it's not over. Pohlman's response said everything. Yeah, copy. Just same expletive every week. That leaked radio audio spread immediately. Fox Sports analyst and former Cup champion Kevin Harvick addressed it directly on his podcast. He can be mad at me, but talking like the way they talked on Channel 2 after Bristol that week, that was unacceptable. That is the wrong guy. For Harvick, a crew chief expressing that kind of frustration openly about his own driver's situation crossed a clear line. After Talladega, ironically, after the team's best result of the season, RCR made the call. Jim Pohlman was removed from the pit box. Andy Street was named crew chief of the number 8 Chevrolet, effective immediately and for the remainder of the season. Pohlman transitioned into a leadership role within RCR's competition department. Street is not an outsider. He has been with Childress for over 2 decades. As a crew chief in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, he won 11 races, with 10 of those alongside Austin Hill. He led Hill to the championship 4 in 2024. And critically, Street already has a working relationship with Busch. He served as the interim crew chief for the final 5 races of the 2025 season after former crew chief Randall Burnett departed for Trackhouse Racing. In those 5 races, Busch posted finishes of 34th, crash, 8th, 19th, 13th, and 5th at the season finale in Phoenix. Richard Childress stated plainly, "This move is about putting our people in the best position to succeed. We have strong talent across this organization, and we're focused on having each person in the right position to help deliver the results we expect." RCR President Mike Verlander added, "We strongly believe in the people we have. At the same time, we expect better results, and that requires us to continually evaluate and make adjustments." That's when Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepped in, and what he said on his podcast carries real weight, not just because of his name, but because of his credentials. Hall of Famer, NASCAR team owner, a man who has sat through those exact conversations inside a struggling race shop. When he speaks on team dynamics, people in the garage pay attention. Dale Jr. made clear first that the Bristol radio drama wasn't some unprecedented scandal. There's been a lot of radio chatter that's become public. That's not uncommon. It's just highlighted because it's Kyle Busch and he's struggling unlike Kyle Busch. The point was direct. Tense radio exchanges happen across the garage every weekend. The reason this one became national news is because the driver involved used to win everything, and now he can't crack the top 20. But Dale Jr.'s most important warning was about the crew chief change itself. He was direct. Swapping crew chiefs mid-season is not a solution. It is a complication. I've been in this situation when you make a change mid-season. It is really hard to find positivity and try to figure out how to be hopeful that things are going to improve. A new crew chief means a new voice on the radio, new philosophies on setup, new working chemistry to build, and all of that takes time that RCR simply does not have right now. Dale Jr. also made sure Pohlman wasn't turned into a villain. Jim's an awesome guy, very passionate. The talent was never the question, the fit was, and in racing, sometimes two capable people simply don't produce results together. It doesn't mean either one failed individually, but at the Cup Series level, when results don't come, changes follow. He also issued a reminder to everyone watching from the outside. We ain't in the building. We don't know what the conversations are like. They know way more than any of us. The point was a check on the noise generated by fans, media, and social media alike. The people inside RCR are navigating engineering meetings, internal dynamics, long-term contract considerations, and conversations with Richard Childress himself, none of which play out publicly. Still, Dale Jr. closed on something closer to belief than despair. They're racers, right? They think we're gonna figure it out. Busch himself addressed the situation at Texas Motor Speedway, and he was notably direct. He pushed back hard on suggestions that his effort has dropped off. I think the writing is in the point standings. We're not where we need to be. There's got to be a change somewhere. He also held a town hall meeting with the entire RCR shop floor shortly after the crew chief news broke, using it to thank Pohlman and reinforce his commitment to the team. On Street's Approach, Busch said, "Andy and I, we conversate a lot and did a lot last year. I feel like he's got a simpler mentality about how he goes about looking at things. It has to make sense to him for him to be able to believe it, and he doesn't just believe in what the computer tells him. I feel like that's a good way of being back to basics and a little bit more methodical about race cars." He also defended RCR without hesitation. "I feel like I've done nothing except positive things in the time in which I've been at RCR. The last 4 years, I've done nothing but work as hard as I could possibly do. And on the team itself, Richard and Mike and all those guys have given us all the resources and tools to go out there and succeed. It's just not quite come together with the results of winning." This is what makes the situation genuinely difficult. Busch isn't pointing fingers. The equipment isn't being blamed. The people aren't being thrown under the bus. A champion who has won at every level is putting in the work, and the wins are not coming. The math is unforgiving. Busch sits 66 points below the playoff cut line with 16 races remaining. Fox Sports' Bob Pockras described this move plainly as one last gasp to determine whether Busch and RCR have a future together beyond 2026. Kevin Harvick pointed to a deeper organizational issue. When you see some struggles like they're having, it's all about your processes and your details and your simulation and your tools. This isn't just a Kyle Busch problem. Austin Dillon is sitting 24th in points with equally empty results. Street now inherits a car that is historically underperforming for its driver. Dale Jr.'s warning stands. Mid-season crew chief changes rarely deliver instant transformations. The chemistry that Street and Busch built in 5 races at the end of 2025 is the only real foundation to build on. Whether that's enough, with the clock running, the playoffs slipping away, and a contract year hanging over everything, is the question that will define Kyle Busch's 2026 from here.